No, I said quietly but firmly, my voice steady despite the storm brewing in the room. I wasn't playing anyone. I was building. While you mocked me, I was laying foundations. While you gambled with people's futures, I invested in them. The difference between us, Daniel, is simple. You built castles in the air, and I built roots in the ground. Laura's tearful gaze shifted from me to Daniel, her hands trembling as she clutched the frozen account notice she had pulled from her purse. The silence in the boardroom was suffocating, broken only by the muffled hum of the city below. For the first time in years, Daniel looked small, not powerful, not commanding, but fragile, his arrogance stripped bare in front of the very board he had once dominated. You can't just walk in here and take everything," Daniel stammered, his voice cracking as he tried to muster the authority he no longer had. "This bank, this legacy, it belongs to the Taylors." I leaned forward, locking eyes with him. "It did, until you forgot what a legacy is supposed to mean. A legacy isn't built on ego, Daniel, it's built on trust, on vision, on responsibility, and you lost all three." Around the table, the board members were no longer whispering, they were watching me, some nodding, others scribbling notes, but all of them paying attention. The tide had turned. Evelyn placed another folder in front of the directors. "Inside, you'll find documentation of Mr. Taylor's unauthorized trades, conflicts of interest, and risky ventures that put Monarch Bank in jeopardy. Mr. Robinson, on the other hand, has presented a sustainable growth model backed by 13 years of consistent results." One of the senior board members, Mr. Whitmore, cleared his throat. His voice was gravelly, but commanding. "Daniel, this is damning. If even half of these documents are accurate, you've compromised the bank's stability. As of this moment, I motion to suspend your authority pending a full review." Daniel's face turned a deeper shade of red. "You can't do this to me, to us. Laura, say something." My sister stood frozen, her eyes brimming with tears. She looked at him, then at me, and for a brief second, I saw the girl she used to be, the one who defended me when no one else would. Her lips trembled, but no words came. "I'm sorry, Daniel," she whispered finally, her voice breaking. "I can't fight this." Daniel slammed his fist on the table, his composure unraveling. "You'll regret this, Eric. You think you're clever, but you're nothing without me, nothing." I stood, buttoning my modest suit jacket, and turned to the board. "Gentlemen, ladies, my proposal is simple. We restructure Monarch Bank into an institution that invests not only in profits, but in people. We balance ambition with responsibility. We become the kind of bank that doesn't mock affordable housing, but funds it, that doesn't laugh at small businesses, but lifts them." The room broke into quiet discussion, heads nodding, papers shuffling. For the first time, they weren't looking at Daniel, they were looking at me. I caught Daniel's furious, disbelieving stare and gave him a calm smile. "You said last night that I don't understand how the world works, but maybe it's you who never understood. The world doesn't revolve around power, it revolves around people, and that's where real power comes from." The board members began casting their votes. One by one, hands rose in my favor. The final count left no doubt, Monarch Bank had a new leader. Daniel's chair scraped against the floor as he staggered to his feet, his face pale, his jaw clenched in defeat. He looked at Laura one last time, but she lowered her eyes, unable to meet his gaze. He stormed out of the room, the sound of the heavy doors slamming behind him echoing like the closing of a chapter. I exhaled slowly, feeling years of weight lift off my shoulders. I turned to the board, to Evelyn, and then to Laura, who stood trembling near the doorway. "This isn't just a victory for me," I said softly. "It's a new beginning, for this bank, for the people it serves, and maybe, for our family too." Laura's eyes filled with silent regret, but also with something else, hope. And for the first time in 13 years, I allowed myself to believe that tomorrow truly would be different. I wasn't playing anyone, I was running a business, something you never quite learned to do. The words had barely left my mouth when the storm truly began. The following weeks were relentless. Monarch Bank, once synonymous with stability and prestige, was suddenly the center of every major headline. Financial networks replayed the footage of the boardroom meeting on a loop. Audits began. Emergency board meetings dragged late into the night. Shareholders demanded answers. And with every new report, Daniel Taylor's carefully polished legacy unraveled piece by piece. Our team of forensic accountants worked like surgeons, peeling back years of creative accounting. What they found was staggering. unauthorized trades hidden beneath layers of shell companies, fake profits designed to inflate quarterly earnings, corporate credit cards funding lavish European shopping trips, and even vacation villas in Marbella disguised as executive retreats. The proud Taylor dynasty had never been about honor or business acumen, it had been about smoke and mirrors, illusion, and now that illusion was dissolving in the harsh light of truth. One late afternoon, I sat in the very office Daniel once ruled from, the corner suite with floor-to-ceiling windows and a panoramic view of the city. The mahogany desk gleamed, but it felt different now, stripped of its arrogance. My inbox overflowed with audit reports and board memos, each one damning in its own way. I rubbed my temples, exhausted but resolute. That's when the door burst open. Laura. Her face was flushed, her eyes bright with hurt. She stood there for a moment, her hands still gripping the doorknob, as if she had been holding herself back until she couldn't anymore. How could you do this to us? She demanded, her voice trembling with fury and pain. I looked up from the audit report, my tone calm, though my heart ached. No, Laura, the real question is, how could he do this to you? She stormed forward, her heels striking the marble floor like gavel blows. When she reached my desk, she slammed her palms down, leaning in, eyes blazing. Do you even realize what people are saying about us? She cried. Our friends won't return my calls, invitations are gone, they're shutting me out. Eric, do you understand what that feels like? I closed the report and folded my hands, studying her. Your friends, I asked softly, or Daniel's friends? There's a difference. She faltered, blinking at me as though I had spoken in a foreign language. What does it matter? Daniel gave me everything, status, a beautiful life, respect. He built the world I live in. I rose slowly from behind the desk and walked toward the tall windows. The city skyline bathed in gold from the setting sun. For a long moment, I just stared out at the city, at the people whose lives had been touched by the very bank we were now trying to rebuild. Then I turned back to her. Let me show you something. I picked up the remote and clicked it. A large screen on the wall flickered to life. It was security footage from a recent board meeting. Laura turned, frowning as the video began to play. There was Daniel, towering at the head of the table, raising his voice as he shredded a junior analyst's presentation. His words were venom, his tone dripping with contempt. Then, moments later, he mocked an elderly board member for daring to question one of his aggressive, unethical lending practices. I let the footage run in silence. Her eyes never left the screen, but I saw her body stiffen, her face crumpled slowly, guilt and grief washing over her. This, I said quietly, is the man you built your perfect life with. This is how he treats anyone beneath him, the same way he humiliated me in front of our family while you said nothing. Her lips trembled. I didn't know what to do. After he helped with Mom's hospital bills, I felt like I owed him. He saved us, Eric. I walked closer, my voice steady, deliberate. No, Laura, I did, through one of my shell companies. Daniel just took the credit. The records are there if you want to see them. She staggered back, her designer handbag sliding off her shoulder and landing on the floor with a dull thud. She sank into the chair opposite me, her face pale, her hands trembling. Why didn't you tell me? She whispered. I studied her, then asked gently, would you have believed me? Back then, I was just your brother with small dreams, the one you stopped defending when Daniel's shadow grew too big. Before she could respond, the intercom buzzed. Mr. Robinson, my assistant's voice said, calm and professional, the FBI agents are here. It's about Mr. Taylor's trading violations. Laura's head snapped up, panic flooding her expression. Eric, please, she begged, her voice breaking, he's still my husband. And you're still my sister, I interrupted softly. I pulled a chair closer to hers and sat down. That's why I've arranged things so he won't see the inside of a prison cell. He'll cooperate with the investigation. There will be fines, restrictions, his reputation won't survive, but he'll avoid prison. The Taylor name as you knew it, it ends here, but you won't have to watch him in handcuffs. Her tears finally spilled over, streaking her face. Why? She whispered, her voice cracking. After everything he did to you, why would you show him mercy? I reached into my desk drawer and pulled out a small photo frame. The glass was slightly scratched, the edges worn. I handed it to her. She looked down, and gasped softly. It was the two of us, children again, standing in the sunlight. I was awkward, nerdy, holding a tattered backpack. She stood in front of me, arms crossed, fierce as ever, shielding me from the neighborhood bullies. I placed a hand gently on hers, because a long time ago, I said quietly, someone taught me that strength isn't about how much power you have, it's about how you choose to use it. Laura buried her face in her hands, sobbing silently. I sat with her in silence, letting her grieve, not just for Daniel, but for the life she thought she had. Then my phone buzzed. A new message from the board lit up the screen. Daniel Taylor has agreed to resign. His final act will be signing over his remaining shares. I stared at the words for a long moment. It felt final, heavy. The Taylor dynasty, which had towered over our family for years, was gone. I looked back at Laura, her tears glistening in the fading light. Maybe, just maybe, the Robinson siblings had begun the long, painful road to healing.